Let me show you the fresher way I make McDonald's at home. It's crunchier, it's cheaper, and honestly, it's just better. Here's 4 reasons to stop by McDonald's and make it better at home. There are days when I want a McDonald's McValue McChicken Sandwich, but I think I can recreate it at home even better. So to start, I'm working with a little over 1 pound of boneless, skinless chicken breast that I already cut into pieces. And for the seasoning, I'm keeping it simple. 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of MSG, and 1 large egg. I'm also going to be adding 2 teaspoons of cornstarch into the mix. And all you have to do is put this into a food processor. So that little secret that a lot of people either don't like to tell you or that a lot of people don't like to hear that gives you that fast food taste is MSG. If you do not like using MSG, you don't have to. But if you really want to recreate anything fast food at home, there's always a little MSG in it. So I use it, I like it, and it's in this recipe. Okay, now let's give this a whirl. If you do not have a food processor, just use ground chicken from the grocery store, but truly using this method gives you that fast food texture to the patty. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just divide this into somewhere between 8 to 10 patties, and you want to work with cornstarch to coat it. It makes it a lot easier. If you have gloves, work with those. I had some, but they were too big for my hands and it was just a mess. So I'm using clean hands and a little cornstarch to shape the patties like this. And if you really want the true McDonald's McChicken experience, make the patties a lot thinner and smaller, and there you go. I have this mixture divided into 8 patties and it's going into the freezer for an hour because this is going to help you in the next step when you go to dredge and fry these. And you can see it's easy to work with. It's not all over the place. That's what you want. So I'm going to start preheating my cooking oil. You'll want to preheat your cooking oil to around 355 to 360 degrees Fahrenheit. So let that go gradually. Now let's work on the wet batter. I have 1 cup of self-rising flour. To that I'm going to season with a half teaspoon of salt, a full teaspoon of MSG, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, onion powder, and a half teaspoon of paprika, and you give that a mix. If you do not have self-rising flour, you could use regular flour with a half teaspoon of baking powder in it and just add a full teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add 1 cup of cold water, little by little, mixing and whisking until everything is combined. And if you need extra water, just a tablespoon at a time until it looks like this. You'll want it close to a pancake batter consistency, and this is ready. So what you're going to do is take your frozen chicken patty, and you are going to carefully dip and dunk into the wet batter. You'll want to coat it, and then let the excess batter kind of drip back into the bowl, and then you're ready to fry. I'm going to let this fry on each side for about somewhere between 2 to 3 minutes and then let it go a little bit longer until you get that golden brown color. Remember, you are working with a thin frozen patty, so you want to make sure the interior reaches 165 degrees Fahrenheit. But I'm going to give this a flip, and already you can see how crispy and crunchy that exterior is. This is going to go on a wire rack because that will ensure that as it hangs out, it stays crispy on the exterior. But this is fried to perfection. And I kid you not, this literally looks like the McChicken patty, but better. And then it's almost time to put this together. So let's build this sandwich. A regular hamburger bun from the grocery store. You can toast it, you can steam it, it's up to you. Add your mayo. The amount is up to you because you're recreating it at home. Add what you like. So I'm just going to spread that out. Crispity, crunchy, homemade chicken patty that's seasoned to perfection. That goes right on the bottom of the bun. Now you'll want some iceberg lettuce. Chop it, shred it how you like. And I'm putting that right on top. Now let's add a little more mayo. And this is it. Top it with the bun. Out of all the things that I have recreated on this channel, I think this one is my favorite one. They're all good. Gosh, I love that crispy crunch. Up next, I'm going to show you a slightly different variation to get those chicken McNuggets. So you'll want to go ahead and use the McChicken recipe when you're food processing all the chicken breast, and then I'm going to show you how I shape and make everything else. Okay, so now you'll just want to shape it in the shape of your choice. I'm gonna go for, I don't know, maybe that works. And I'm gonna set it on my baking sheet lined with a parchment paper. So my nuggets are shaped. I have probably a 20-piece nugget situation going on here. I'm going to put these in the freezer until I need them. I'm going to make a sweet and sour sauce. So to a small saucepan, I'm going to add a half tablespoon of oil. And to that, I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of ginger paste. And I'm going to saute this. Okay, now I'm going to add 1 cup of apricot jam or preserves. And this is actually a combination of apricot preserve and orange marmalade because I didn't have enough of apricot. But if you have 1 cup of apricot or even a cup of peach or pineapple preserve, that really works great. I'm going to start with a teaspoon of rice vinegar. I'll give it a taste towards the end. If it needs a little bit more, then I'll add it. A pinch of salt going in, a half cup of water, and some of these orange bits are really, they're kind of big for this, so I will strain this. Okay, so back into my saucepan. There we go. Okay, so now it's gently simmering, and just to give it a thicker consistency, I made a cornstarch slurry, 3 tablespoons of cold water, 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, and I'm going to drizzle in just little by little. I'm going to give that a mix, and that's it. So now let's work on the, well, this is the dry dredge for the nuggets. This is just a half cup of cornstarch, and here I have a half cup of cornstarch and 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. To that, I am going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 1/4 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of my seasoning spice blend. You could use 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt to a teaspoon of salt, and just give that a mix. I'm going to add 1 large egg. I'm going to slowly work in ice cold water. Going in with another 1/4 cup of iced water or chilled water, and that should do the trick. You want to preheat your oil to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So the second one, I'm going to use some chopsticks. That'll help me out better. So now I'm just going to let these cook until they are cooked through and a golden brown color, somewhere between 5 to 7 minutes. But I'm going to go for a double fry. I fried them for about 5 minutes for the first fry, and now I'm going to put them back in for about 2 more minutes. This will give me that crunchy texture. Okay, so all of my nuggets are done. But here's the one that's shaped like a little boot. Into that homemade sauce, and it thickened quite nicely. Okay, so today I'm going to show you some of the best cheeseburgers that you'll ever make. Well, in my opinion. These patties may look thin, but they're tender and juicy, and all you need for these burgers are toasty buns, tender juicy meat patty, and cheese. That's it. No sauce or toppings required. This is going to be oh so good. Here we go. Okay, so today I'm making half of the recipe that I usually do, but I'll tell you the full recipe. So you'll need 2 pounds of ground beef. I'm using 85-15 fat to meat ratio and a sleeve of beefy onion soup mix. And that's one secret ingredient that I like to season my burger patties with. I'm only using half because, like I said earlier, I'm doing a half recipe. I'm also going to be adding some cracked black pepper. And the other secret ingredient is ketchup. Since I'm doing half of the recipe, I'm going with 2 tablespoons, but for the full recipe, it's a 1/4 cup of ketchup. Now, I'm just going to take my clean hands and kind of mix and fold it. You don't want to overwork the ground beef, so I'm working with a preheated cast iron skillet. And I had some like rendered bacon fat that's going in. What I'm going to do is create a very thin meat patty. With 1 pound of beef that I've seasoned and mixed, I can get somewhere between 5 to 6 meat patties. I'm just going to lay it down right into the pan and kind of give it a press. And I'm just gonna let that cook. It does not take long to cook if you want to keep it tender and juicy. Maybe a minute on each side. Then I'm just gonna give it a flip. And then give it a smash. I mean, could you call this a smash burger? I don't, I don't know. If you add like the onion and truly do a smash burger, you definitely can do that. I just like to give it a mash and let it cook and char for another minute. And it should be done because these are thin patties. So I'm going to move it to the side and add my burger buns. These are not fancy burger buns, by the way. I think this entire pack was like $1.50 or something. And the last thing to do is top it with American cheese. I always say use the cheese of your choice, but American cheese is just a lot meltier and it's just what I want to use. So add the patty to the bun and give the other side a flip. Get it toasty. And now just add the cheese right on top. Give it another 30 seconds or so. I'm going to top this with the toasty bun. That'll also help the cheese to get melty. And it's done at this point. And you can serve right away. I want to mention that you definitely can sauce or top these burgers how you prefer. I just wanted to showcase that sometimes making a simple cheeseburger is just where it's at. I have a confession to make. I love a good Filet-O-Fish sandwich, but the drive-thru version is not that great. So I'm going to show you how to make it even better, if not the best, Filet-O-Fish at home. Okay, so let me show you how to make this tartar sauce. Start with a cup, maybe a cup and a half also works. I'm going to chop up, you could use baby dill pickles. I have cornichons. I'm going to add some fresh chopped parsley. You could use dill if you like. I'm going to add maybe like a tablespoon of fresh squeezed lemon juice. Instead of fresh onion, I'm opting for dehydrated chopped onion. Here I have salt and pepper to taste. That's it. That's what I'm going to add. It's very versatile and easy to make. Yeah. Okay. Now just to add it to your goes right into the bowl again. I'm gonna add like a squeeze, a tablespoon. Dehydrated chopped onion, you could add fresh. If you're using fresh, maybe like a half tablespoon. I don't know, this is a teaspoon. Cracked black pepper. Pinch of salt. And I like a pinch of sugar going in. Give it a good mix. And there's your tartar sauce. Okay. I'm going to put this into the fridge to marinate because I use dehydrated onion and I want that to rehydrate with everything. But you could eat this right away if you're using fresh minced onion. The better way to eat this is to make this hours ahead, overnight for best results. The longer it sets in the fridge, the better it tastes. I have plain breadcrumbs and salt. That's it. You can season this how you like. Flour, another pinch of salt, pepper. I'm going to take 1 egg. Now I'm going to add a splash of water, like around 2 tablespoons. Works for this. Pinch of salt. And just mix that up. Okay, so I'm working with 2 square pieces of, this is cod fish, but you know, if all you have is catfish or flounder, go with that. But I wanted to rinse and dry them really well. I'm going to season with a little bit of accent or MSG. Okay, these are ready to be dredged. Before I forget, I'm going to start preheating my little pan with cooking oil. Okay, I'm going to dredge the fish in the flour dredge, now into the egg wash, and into the breadcrumbs, just like that. And I'm going to get my hands messy, sorry. And there is our breaded piece of codfish. Okay, these are ready. By the way, I love these buns. These are the St. Pierre brioche burger buns. That's what I'm using, but use what you've got. Okay, my oil is preheated, going in. There you go. I'm gonna let it cook for minimum like 2 to 3 minutes on each side. It also depends how cold the fish is. This still has a chill on it, so I just want the inside to cook well, and it also depends how thick these pieces are. This one's kind of thick, so I'm just gonna let it cook. I think I'm gonna put this one in there as well. Right on top of the cheese. Yes, that is American cheese. I'm gonna add my tartar sauce right on top. The cheese completely melted, by the way. Oh. Oh. Perfectly cooked. So good. Mm-hmm.